Now
Okay,
I
I'm
can hear
not going to
complete
do anything.
silence. Good. Okay. Okay. One. mm. Welcome to Cyber Management Alliance's webinar on professional strategies to pass the CISSP exam. My name is Amar Singh. Many of you may already know me. I'm the founder of Cyber Management Alliance, but I'm not going to spend time on myself. More importantly, this webinar is an interview with our expert trainer, Abhi. Uh, he's the CISSP trainer. Abby is going to already joining us today, and he, as you can see from your screen, he brings a lot of experience, highly experienced. He works in a very respected organization, but he is our CISSP trainer. Cyber Management Alliance, myself and Abhi have one thing in common. We are very, very passionate on training, and we want to give back to society. We want to make sure that you pass your exam. We want to support you in every way to ensure that you pass your exam. Abby, welcome to the Professional Strategies on Passing the CISSP Exam webinar.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here on the call.
So, Abby, before we go on, take a minute and introduce yourself and how did you pass the exam? Uh, what are your experiences in this, and talk a bit about your passion.
So I take passion in teaching, and that's the whole motive behind getting myself involved in training. And CISSP I cleared long back in 2010, and since then I have been teaching for CISSP. So I don't want to talk too much on this slide, but yes, I am working in the domain of IT risk management, and also have experience with Big Fours and with prime investment banks. Um, yeah, that's a bit about me. But yes, one thing I can say that if you talk about CISSP, you talk about ISC Square 4th edition book, Sean Harris 7th edition book, any page, any para, any line in all these books, right? I mean, I'm fully geared up to talk on that and give you the right perspective.
Excellent, Abby. Folks, for everyone listening in, this is a pre-recorded webinar so that our students, past and present and future, can all listen to this. Abby is a very modest chap. The difference between Abby and other trainers is Abby is a practitioner. So to highlight the fact to everyone listening in, why is Abby a better trainer in my opinion? Because Abby brings in his professional work life experience. I repeat, he's a practitioner, so he's not just a trainer, right? Like myself, I do a lot of training in other topics also, including CSSP, but Abby also is a practitioner who is a trainer. Not Abby is a trainer only. So do keep this in mind. It is very important you get trained and mentored. We're going to talk a bit about mentorship later on. It is very important you get trained and mentored by a practitioner who can share with you real life experiences, not just the book. Because as Abby was saying, we are not we are not writing a brand new book. We are referring to what was it, Abby? Sean Harris and other
The
title.
ISC Square CBK, the
Yeah,
Book of Knowledge.
the book of knowledge. We're not recreating any of that. What we are doing, what Abby is doing, is sharing his experience. Okay, and for those looking at the webinar, just a quick one. The email address that we have is a bit wrong. It's info@cm-alliance.com. That is info@cm-alliance.com. Abby, I'm now going to, well, we've already introduced you and we are meeting the trainer. We're now going to jump on to preparing a CISSP study plan. After that, we are going to talk about exam passing strategies, uh, question solving techniques, time management, and then we're going to talk a bit about our CISSP mentorship program. Abby, over to you.
Excellent. So the whole purpose of this particular video is giving you some inputs in terms of how you can plan better for your CISSP exam. And this particular slide is all about creating a effective CISSP study plan. Now, this is not rocket science. It is just about you visualizing an approach which can help you to plan better. So the message on this slide, the key takeaway is that you should start recording, or you should start creating a log of your activities. And the best is, I mean, the slide has 3 bullet points here. So the first bullet point is more about plan and book your exam 1 month in advance. So irrespective of the training you join, irrespective of the mode you study, you should book your exam when you have a confidence factor of, let's say, you are nearly 75 to 80% ready for the exam. You should book your exam 1 month in advance, and then you should create a study plan. Now, how this study plan can look like is, let me request Amar to just portray that study plan on the screen. Amar, hello.
Yeah, I was on mute. Oh, sorry. Never mind. We'll remove this section. So yeah, Abby, just for folks listening in, um, to replay what Abby is saying, we what we are saying is after you finish the 3 months training and mentorship with Cyber Management Alliance, is then when you plan your book and book your exam 1 month in advance. Um, Abby, I'm now going to share the plan.
Yes, please.
Okay, this is the plan, Abby.
Yes, so the objective of this particular spreadsheet document is to give you a structure so that you can plan better. And as I said, this is not rocket science. This is just like on the first column you have the dates, and if we scroll down to the last row on this spreadsheet, Amma, can you please scroll down? So we see, like, let's say you should have this dates work backward to row one, and let's say after 1 month you write your exam date. So let's say like just indicatively, here we have 16th of February 2017 as, let's say, your CISSP exam date, and then you should work backward to row number one, and this will be like one month or 1.5 month, depending upon the time you need to revise, to practice your CISSP questions, and then ultimately go and uh, pass your exam. So then the next column is more about just the days. So this is more to reflect that if it's a weekend, you can spend more time, and if it is a weekday, then since I'm assuming here that we all are working here, so on a weekday you may not have that much time. So in column C you can say whether it's a weekday or it's a weekend, and then in column D is where you can write the number of hours you are going to invest. So if it's a weekend, it's just indicative here. You can say 6 hours on a weekend. That's on a Saturday or a Sunday, and if it's a weekday, Monday to Friday, you can invest 1 hour or 2 hours, or depending upon that. Now the last column is very interesting, and column E is all about what you plan to do. So instead of typing here, the best approach is, which has worked for me when I was preparing for CISSP exam, I took a printout of this and used to fill this up every day, or let's say on a weekly basis, with a pencil. Why with a pencil? Because trust me, this happens a lot. You plan something, but yes, after 2 days the plan changes, and then you can always go and edit it. So the best thing with the best message which I want to communicate here is, so as an example, let's say just one day before the exam, what you would normally like to do. One day before the exam, you don't want to solve another 50 questions. The best thing is to just go and read the points to ponder, or the points to read, which are given at the end of each domain of the Sean Harris 7th edition book or the ISS Square 4th edition book. So just so you can write that here as it is written as an example here. So revise points to ponder at the end of each domain in Sean Harris and the ISS Square 4th edition book. And then you may also write, now I'm sure we all create some handwritten notes, and those handwritten notes are mainly the topics which are difficult for us to remember, or let's say something we just want to revise before the exam. So revise your own cheat sheet kind of notes. So this is just an example, but yes, we all are different, our knowledge banks are different, but yes, depending upon our requirement, we should start completing this spreadsheet, and you should print this out and paste this close to your there, whatever arrangement is there in your bedroom, something which you look at every day. And that's the objective. See, one very important point of passing CISSP exam is plan, 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 because it's too much to cover. It's too much to cover, right? So it's all about planning. And this particular spreadsheet will become more applicable to you after you are done with one basic foundational level round of your CISSP. So you know how big is my ocean, how much I have to study, and how deep I have to get in the ocean. So once you are clear with that particular minimum foundation level understanding, then you should get on with this spreadsheet and create a study plan, hardcore planning to till
Okay.
you write your exam. So over to Amar. Yeah.
Abby, excellent point. So if I may summarize, I like to replay back so that you know uh, so we can reinforce your message. Is number one, for the vegetarians out there, don't boil the ocean, right? Break it down. Try to drink the ocean in small chunks, right? If you're a non-veg, they always say you can eat the elephant one small piece at a time, right? Not eating elephants is not my cup of tea. I think Abby itself himself is a vegetarian. So, but the point of this, I think Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, is break down the activity plan because I am a CISSP myself. There is a lot of material to study, and you cannot expect someone who has little or no experience in these domains to suddenly know everything. So, what Abby is trying to do here is recommending you create a plan. You target your date of 16th of February, for example, as we see on the screen, and then you work backwards. For those students who do join us, and for information to join us, you can email us at CISSP at cm-alliance.com. You don't have to. But if you do want mentorship, and we're going to discuss amazing stuff that happens at the mentorship slide back. But when you do join us, you also get access to this template and many more unique material. But this is what we are sharing with you now is free to view, and you can all look at this and hopefully gain some experience from Abby and myself. And the final thing Abby was saying is to show dedication. What he meant by putting this in your room is look at this every day because this is what your target is. It's a target based approach. You have to always have your target in your mind. Abby, before we move on, anything I missed?
No, Amma, you have summarized it in a very right sense, so that's good.
Okay, right. Now I share my screen. Okay. We are moving on to exam passing strategies. Abby, over to you. What are the strategies? I know some of it may be common sense, but it's always good to look at it from your experience, obviously my experience. What are your thoughts on this?
Sure, thanks, Amma. So on this particular slide, the assumption is that the candidate is in the exam scenario, and CISSP is a 250 questions and 6 hours exam, and it's a multiple choice question. It's a computer based exam. The good part is that there is no negative marking. So the expectation is that the candidate, I mean, he marks the answers for all the questions which are there in the exam.
Or
That is
she.
point one.
Yeah,
The
this one.
second
Or
thing,
she. Yeah. Go on.
come again?
No, no, I'm saying he
Okay,
or she.
so
Yeah, yeah. Go on.
yeah, so on this particular slide, the candidate is in the exam room, and he is in the exam. So this is more like a strategy, and this is not rocket science. It's like simple common sense points. But yes, this makes a lot of sense. If we look at the point number one, which is ignore the difficult or the lengthy questions in the first tranche. So this is important because ISC scale sometimes presents the first question as a very lengthy question, and a lot of candidates, okay, they tend to spend some 10 minutes on the first question, building up pressure for the remaining part of the exam. So when I say first tranche, if 1 to 250 questions are there in the first round, okay, we should be only looking at the questions which are easy to go, not lengthy questions, and the options of the question are also short. So that should be the approach, and we should highlight the questions that are, yeah, Amma, go ahead.
Go on, go on.
Yeah, so and we should highlight the questions which are difficult for the candidate. So in that way, in the second tranche, you should look at the difficult ones, and in the third tranche, you should look at the difficult ones.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize
So
this,
there is nothing called as a fourth tranche.
Abby. I'm going to summarize
Sure.
this.
Okay.
Um, Before we go on to the other chocolate question, which is always exciting to me, um, I'm going to summarize what you've said. So there's going to be always an attempt to overload or front load the exam with the first or second question to be a very lengthy, long question, right? Um, what Abby, if I understand Abby, you are saying to replay is always move on and attempt easy questions first, and then come back to the difficult ones and do that until you answer all the questions.
That's correct.
Excellent. So tell me, Abby, why should I bring chocolates?
Yes, so that's an interesting part of the session. And chocolates, somebody recommended me, so I am recommending back to all my. I have been doing this for all my CISSP mentorship programs. Chocolates help you to gain energy in a fast momentum. And in CISSP exam, how I mean, you tend to lose your thoughts very soon. So after 2 hours, 3 hours, you get into a fatigue mode, and chocolates can help you. So you can have n number of breaks, and it is not like when you go for a break time will pause, so the time will continue. But yes, you can go on for a break, quickly come back, have some fresh air, have a chocolate, and come back. And the good part is that calculators are allowed, and you can also for candidates for whom the first language is not English, they can always carry the English dictionary. And in fact, if your first language is English, then also you can carry an English dictionary. So that is all allowed in the exam. And
Okay,
as I said, there is no negative marking, so attempt every question.
so I'm going to say this again. Sugar rush. I'm going to love exams every time now. This is just brilliant. Excellent strategy.
Excellent.
Thank you, Abby. So I think if I
Yeah.
may, on a serious note, what we are trying to say, and what Abby is saying is, obviously be aware because you're going to be there almost for 6 hours if you want to. You may be, you may be depleted. Your body, you have to concentrate on every question. You may be depleted of your sugar. Hence, if you don't like chocolates, you can take something else, but keep some
Yeah, whatever works.
sugar with you, right? Um,
Yeah.
so because Abby and I love chocolates, so hey, listen, chocolates work every time. Okay,
Excellent. Okay.
Abby, thank you. We are going to move on to the next one, which is question solving techniques.
Yes. So,
What is story
um,
diagrams, Abby? Tell me. This is very important, folks. I want everyone to focus on this a little bit because Abby's got some interesting inputs over here. What is story
yeah.
diagrams?
So this is one of my preambles of attempting questions, and this works very well for me. And that's where I have structured this into some keywords called story diagrams, and assigning some scores to the various options to a question. So let me simplify this. So let's say you have a question, and the question is a long question. It's like some 5 to 6 lines of text, or even 3 to 4 lines of text. Now, when you read the question and you visualize the scenario which is given in the question, and then you move on to the options, and you will realize that when you are reading the options, you tend to lose the scenario, the message, the context that was asked in the question.
Hmm.
And the objective here is, because see, we all are working, and our memory retention may not be the best in itself, right? So the guide here is that you convert the whole scenario of the question into a small story diagram. So let's say the question is something like this. Let's say the question says, Mr. Jack goes to church every day, and when he came back from the church, he saw a lot of unauthorized pings that were coming onto the server. So there is no harm in quickly, on the right side of the question or on the left or wherever, right? You just create a small man, and then you create a church, and then you create a server. So in that way, you are converting your whole text of the question into a small story diagram.
Okay,
So
Abby.
in this way,
Abby, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can I replay back? This is very important, right, for me to understand. So what we are saying here is visualize the question. Is that correct?
correct, yeah.
Yeah. So, if I may, right, and this is really important that the audience and the people who look at this understand, and it's a really brilliant strategy. So, if I'm your student right now, and tell me if I'm making any sense. Um, we read the question, and because we in many contexts, many people do what, and you and I both, I know, like doing, is visualizing the problem so that you can then remember the context of the question.
Correct.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the next point of, in case of a strong tie between two options, what happens?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So Amar, I'm still on bullet one because I do want
Okay.
to talk about assigning the scores also.
Right.
But yeah, but the most important bit on the story diagram is you should also understand what are the keywords in the question. So let's say the question is talking about what would Mr. Jack do to detect the unauthorized pings, or what would Mr. Jack do to prevent the unauthorized pings. So the expectation is that we understand that the question demands to pick up an option, whether in the detective sense, whether in the preventive sense, because this will help you to rule out the other options, right? So that is what story diagrams really brings on the plate. And then you are very clear in terms of what is my expectation of the right answer from the given four options.
Okay, so
Okay.
assign a score to what you are visualizing. You don't have to be an artist. That's what Abby is
No,
trying to
no, no.
say.
No. I have still not gone to assign score. It is
Okay.
only on story diagrams now. So now,
Yeah.
once your story diagram is ready, you have visualized the question. Now you pick up option one, okay? And you pick up option one, read it, and then bring that option one onto your story diagram. So you try to evaluate whether what was expected from the question in the form of now something what you have visualized now in the story diagram, does it make sense? Does this option make sense to the context that is asked or the answer that is demanded? And
Okay.
let's say your confidence level is it doesn't make sense. Let's say the question was more about identify the detective control, whereas the option one is more about sounding like preventive. So just assigning score is nothing but your confidence level. So let's say 100 means you are absolutely very happy with that option and that should be the correct answer, and a score of 40 means that you just don't buy that option.
So
So let's
basically,
say for option.
assigning a score to the options, the answer options, basically.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct. So
Right.
let's say for option A, your happiness factor or your confidence coefficient is, let's say, 40%. For option B, your confidence coefficient is 65%. And these are all subjective qualitative scores which you
Yes.
yourself assign.
Yes.
Okay. And the
Yes.
and the whole purpose of assigning the scores is because this will happen when you are reading the option 4, you will forget option 1 and you will even forget the context of the question. So
Yes.
story diagrams are there which will help you on that. But
Yes.
if let's say you have a score on option one, then quickly out of the four options, you can pick the best score and mark that as the correct answer. And this technique works.
Okay.
Okay, so this is
But
what the bullet point one is.
bullet point now, the next one, if there's a tie, what happens then?
Correct. Now, let's say, for example, on option B and C, you have assigned the same score, which is 50 and 50,
Hmm.
or let's say 63 and 63. Now it's a strong tie. So that means you have to convince yourself in terms of which option I should choose because both the options are equally good. And
Hmm.
there is a strong tie, there's a strong fight, there's a strong deadlock now. So in that way, these three sub bullets will help you to pick up the right answer. So the first sub bullet is always give preference to the larger picture. What do I mean by that is, let's say out of those two options, one of the option is assign responsibilities for taking backups, and the other option is, let's say, create a backup roles and responsibility matrix, or let's say create a backup policy. So larger picture means because if you create a backup policy, automatically you are going to talk about who is responsible for what in that policy.
Hmm.
So always give preference to the larger picture. So something in this example, creating a backup policy would be a more preferable answer instead of marking the answer as assign the responsibility to take backups. So always give preference to the larger picture. That is tip number one in
What
case
about
of a
the
tie.
second option?
The second option is, please remember, CISSP is not a purely technical exam. CISSP is a business focused techno exam, and CISSP, the theme, the spirit of CISSP is that you firstly understand your regulatory requirements, your interested parties requirements, your business objectives, and then you lay out your whole IT infrastructure and the security behind it. So always give preference to keywords like management, policy, strategy, steering committee, governance. You should always give preference to words like this, and please give more respect to the options which are talking about the business, which are more close to business, instead of talking about instead of giving preference to options which are more like operations, like audits, sorry, logs, right, and more I mean more operation specific. So give preference to the business options. That is what tip number 2 is.
Excellent. And understand that the question wants you to select a preventative or a detective control.
Yeah, I think this is the same as the bullet point 1 on the slide, which is
Yeah.
more about
So I guess
when understand. Yeah.
the business context. And that's a really important point, folks, because from my experience also, right, CISSP is not looking to make you a technical expert. Okay. CISSP puts business first. It gives you the technical awareness, correct, Abby? So
Yes.
to replay what I understand from Abby is always look at it from a business angle. The larger picture is what we are trying to say here. A policy is a larger picture rather
Correct.
than a operational technical
The
build
feature or
document.
a bit right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So always keep
Yeah.
that in mind. The technical build document may be correct answer depending on the question, but always what Abby, I guess, is trying to say here, Abby, if I'm right, is we are trying to say, folks, always, and this is true for once you pass your CISSP, CISSP always tries to put business first, right? Um,
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, we could do this for a long time, but this is really good, Abby. We need to move on and let's go to time management, which is what we're trying to do now also. Okay, what are your recommendations?
So time management is very, very important for CISSP. And when I wrote my CISSP exam, I was working. And if, let's say, somebody asks me, what is the biggest single mistake a person can make preparing for a CISSP exam, my answer would be to stop studying for 3 weeks continuously. And a lot of people are smiling right now, but yes, the why I say that is because if, let's say, you don't study, you don't open your book, and you don't look at any webinars or slides or something for 3 continuous weeks, you will forget a lot of things which you have already, or the efforts you have invested, and you have to start the wheel again, you have to start the domain 1 again. So the most important thing is that you commit to yourself and you manage your time, so that every day you touch CISSP in some way or the other. Now let's talk about these 3 bullet points quickly. We all are working, and and it's very difficult to manage our time. So as a recommendation, as a suggestion, I advise all of you to study at least 1 hour per day, okay, during your office days, and at least, this is minimum, 3 hours per day on a holiday, let's say a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Sunday. And these 3 hours is the minimum. You should invest minimum 5 to 6 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then only you will be able to write your CISSP exam in 3 months or 3.5 months.
Hmm.
And this 1 hour every day should be the time when there is no disturbance. You are on your own and you are in your best state. And when I say best state, it is like your mind is fully active and your reading speed is at least minimum 14 to 15 pages per hour. Okay, so that is the state, and you are interpreting a lot of things what you're reading from the book. So that is what the first bullet point is all about. The second bullet point
Excellent.
is,
Excellent. Yeah.
go ahead.
So, this is really important. And just to re-stress, what I think, if I may replay, Abby, is if you think cramming and passing is okay, experience tells us cramming and passing, some people may be able to do that, but it is not helpful in the long term. We are trying to encourage people. What we are doing, which we're going to talk about in the next one before we call it off, is we are trying to encourage people to actually learn and gain knowledge. Yeah.
Correct. In fact, Amar, cramming never works in CISSP because it's too much. Okay, so the thing is that one very important thing which I always tell my candidates, and I'm slightly digressing here, but it's important. whatever you are reading in CISSP, please connect it upstream and downstream. And when I say that, understand where in the overall IT infrastructure this concept fits in. What kind of policies will be talking about this particular concept?
Hmm.
Okay, and what kind of operations you will lay out around this, and why this. But so let's say that particular topic is in domain 6 of CISSP exam. Why that topic is in domain 6? Why not that topic is in domain 1? Why not it is in domain 2? Till the time you can appreciate holistically what you are learning and where it fits in the overall CISSP syllabus, you will not be able to connect the dots. And I think that's
Excellent.
the art. As part of the mentorship program, we are communicating back.
That's what we do. Excellent. So obtain and convince family to support you.
That's very, very important, because if your wife or your spouse is not going to support you in this journey, it's not possible. So you have to tell them that priorities will change for the next 3 or 4 months, and I need your support to have more successful rewards at the end of my CS. I mean, when once I pass my CISSP exam. So this is a very important point.
Excellent. Make use of free time.
I
It's
think this is just a simple
pretty much
point. It's more
self-explanatory.
about making use of time when you're traveling to client places or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, self-explanatory. Excellent. Okay, to now to the last part of this, but again, very important. Um, I'll take a bit of a few minutes over here, Abby. Basically, what we are offering you is access to Abby, of course. He is the main core CISSP trainer. Um, Live online CISSP sessions with Abby. I jump in sometimes in and out, but Abby is the main guy every Saturday for 2 hours. And this is where this gets really interesting, right? And I mean, again, Abby is obviously fully aware of this. And we have repeated this, but please try to understand, folks listening in. We are not, number one, no one is going to ever guarantee you any pass on any exam. And we are not doing that, okay? We have to be very clear. What we are saying is we are there. Abby is there to support you and mentor. I'm there to mentor, and we do that via multiple ways on every Saturday for 2, sometimes 3 hours, but most of the time 2 hours. Ongoing access to the WhatsApp group chat. WhatsApp is, everyone hopefully knows what WhatsApp is. Access to our collection of question banks that we have, access to these kind of high quality videos, which we are making many more of, Abby and myself. And it's very important to point out here, it's ongoing support until you pass your exam, right? We want you to pass, but we also not only want you to pass, Abby, myself, the Cyber Management Alliance wants you to learn and gain that knowledge so that, as Abby was saying, you understand the upstream, the downstream, the business context of CISSP. CISSP is a very, very honor. It's an honor to be a CISSP, to be honest with you. And with it comes a lot of responsibility, but you have to, and with it comes a lot of knowledge that you have to retain. And why we are taking this approach of every Saturday, the WhatsApp group, email support, is because we want to ensure that you retain that knowledge. Abby, have I missed anything?
No, I think Amar, you have summarized it very well. But just three things which I will say here. I mean, definitely the offering is there on the website as well. But yeah, the most important thing is the keyword mentorship, right? And we don't call it as just a training. We call it as a mentorship. The reason being, this is not like 5 days or 4 days. You are given training, and then the trainer is gone, you are gone, and there is no connection. This is more like you are constantly mentored, you are constantly pushed to study, okay, and you are constantly pulling a lot of information from the trainer at the at the various milestones. You have various hiccups, and there is a WhatsApp group to clear your doubts on the go. And when I say on the go, this means a lot. So you are solving a question, and you are having some difficulty in solving the question. You just click a picture or you type that question on the WhatsApp, and immediately you get the response. The most important point here, on the WhatsApp group, it is not like only you and me. The WhatsApp group is a group, and on that group you have a lot of candidates who are either preparing for CISSP or have cleared their CISSP, and they are not just the folks from United Kingdom or some regional folks. They are across the world. You have people from Middle East, you have people from India, you have people from Bangkok, Thailand, you have people from US, Canada. So it's like the power of collaboration. So if you have a doubt, it is not just you are getting a piece of advice from your mentor, you're getting a piece of advice for folks in various capacities across the globe.
And
And
that,
then we have
Abby,
industry
sorry,
mentors
Abby,
like Sam and yourself.
Abby, sorry to interrupt you. That's a very key point here, right? It's not just
Yeah,
Abby or it's not just myself who are going to be, flooding the CSSP WhatsApp group uh, with answers. You're going to be able to continue learning and gaining experience from all the others on there, and
yeah,
they are
that's
they are professionals in their own fields, right? So that is really key. Sorry, Abby.
no, that's fine, Amar. And I think one most important thing is that this program is all about giving you sufficient knowledge in the right quantity, in the right quality, so that you have enough confidence to go and pass your exam. And please remember that we at Cyber Management Alliance are going to respect the copyright material. So please, Amar, you may want to talk about it, but I
Yeah,
think I just wanted to stress out.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Amar. I think
No, just
you may want to.
basically, as I think I've said earlier, also, all copyrights are reserved. We are here. We are not selling any material. We highly
Yeah,
recommend you buy, obviously, the books. Sean Harris's book,
yeah,
ISC Squares CBK, which is really important also because it's an ISC Squared
yeah,
exam. Obviously, we're not here selling books. Okay, we are here. Uh, we are offering support. We are here to help you over the next in your journey to become a CISSP. We are both CISSPs. I've been one for very long myself. I have a lot of experience. Abby also is deeply experienced. What we know is it's not easy getting there, and we want you to take the journey that we've also taken, and that's what we are doing over here with Cyber Management Alliance, the mentorship program, which is why we try not to call it training. It's a bit of training, but it's also mentorship, right? And we're not
correct.
guaranteeing any results. No one should ever guarantee any results. It's how much hard work you put in, and that will guarantee you your results. We are there to
Yeah,
support you. Abby,
yeah.
our CISSP trainer, it's been a real honor and pleasure again. Abby, thank you so much for joining me. And remember, for everyone looking at this, you can email us at CISSP at cm-alliance.com. What's the LinkedIn group, Abby, that they can join?
On LinkedIn, you have many groups, but one of the groups which I constantly post is the CISSP Mentorship and Guidance group. So I just like the theme of that group, so I constantly post in that.
CISSP Mentorship and Guidance Group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so feel free to reach out. Abby also will respond if I have the time. Otherwise, we have a lot. We have a growing team who will respond to your queries, and hopefully, we'll see you on the next Saturday's class. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amma. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, all the attendees. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye.